Pulse Talk, bringing insights into health and wellness with your hosts, Christine and Alex.
Ever get that feeling like when you see a crazy low price on something you just know is important and you think, is this too good to be true?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what we're diving into today,
Right.
because when it comes to healthcare, that whole thing about you get what you pay for can be especially important.
Absolutely.
We're talking about blood pressure monitors and the surprising dangers of just grabbing the cheapest one online.
Right.
Because it turns out it might not just be your wallet at stake.
No, not at all.
Dr. Eng, medical director at Alpro Clinic, shared a story about a patient that really brings this home.
Yeah.
So this patient insisted that his blood pressure was totally normal at home.
Okay.
Even showed Dr. Eng normal readings on his own device.
Okay.
But at the clinic, every single reading was through the roof.
Wow. That's a head scratcher, right?
Totally.
Like how can those two things be so different?
Exactly. And that's where this whole thing gets a little scary. So it turns out this patient bought his monitor online for like next to nothing.
Okay.
And he was even like dismissing the medication that Dr. Eng prescribed, said it made him dizzy.
Wow.
But get this, after Dr. Eng loaned the patient a properly calibrated monitor, one that he knew was accurate, the readings suddenly matched the concerning ones from the clinic.
Wow. See, that's what I'm talking about, right?
Right.
It's like we all love a good deal.
Of course.
But when it comes to our health, sometimes those super cheap online finds are more risky than we realize.
And you know what's really unsettling?
What's that?
This isn't just an isolated incident. I mean, we're talking about potentially thousands of people walking around with this false sense of security.
Exactly. And that's what's so scary about hypertension in general.
Right.
It's often a silent threat.
Totally.
It doesn't wave a red flag.
Right.
There are no flashing warning signs.
Yeah.
Just this silent buildup that, if left unchecked, can lead to some pretty serious consequences down the line.
Yeah.
We're talking strokes, heart attacks, even dementia.
So how big is this inaccurate blood pressure monitor problem, really?
Huge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the numbers don't lie.
Right.
Alpro Pharmacy did a deep dive on this and found a whopping 70% of home blood pressure monitors sold online are inaccurate.
70%.
70%. And get this, about 30% have a margin of error of 10 millimeter Hg or more.
Wow.
That's like thinking you're sailing smoothly when you're actually headed straight for a storm,
That's huge.
It's huge, and it's scary.
Yeah. So we're not just talking about slightly off readings here. We're talking about the difference between receiving the appropriate medical treatment and remaining none the wiser.
100%. And then there's the whole other issue of counterfeit products online.
Right, right.
These websites often lack the rigorous quality control you'd find at a reputable pharmacy, so it's almost impossible to know what's reliable and what's essentially a health hazard in disguise.
This whole situation really got to Dr. Eng.
I bet.
I mean, he sees these cheap, uncertified devices as basically exploiting people who are just trying to, manage their health affordably.
Right, they just don't know.
They get lured in by a bargain, not realizing the potential long-term costs.
It's classic penny wise and pound foolish.
Exactly.
Right. Those small savings up front could cost a fortune down the line. Think about managing a heart condition or recovering from a stroke.
Yeah.
Those are not insignificant expenses.
So if buying online is a no-go, what's the alternative?
Well, that's what we're going to get into next.
Okay. It's like, why do we go to bookstores when we could order anything online?
Yeah.
There's something about having that guidance.
Right. Right. It's like you're not just buying a device off the shelf. You're actually entering a conversation with a professional who can really help you make informed decisions about your health. And that's what that patient was missing. Remember how he was resistant at first?
Yeah.
Like, no, my readings at home are fine.
Right.
He was so convinced that he was in the clear. It was only when he got that accurate information, when he saw the difference, that it really hit home.
It's like powerful, but also kind of scary.
Oh, absolutely. It's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, I was unknowingly putting my health at risk.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to the importance of healthcare professionals in that sense,
Totally, because it's one thing to read an article about hypertension.
Right.
But it's another to have someone actually explain what those risks mean for you.
Exactly. It's about empowering patients, right? To actually take ownership of their health. And that starts with having the right info.
And feeling heard, like, how many times do we go to the doctor and maybe hold back from asking a question?
All the time.
But But when you have that kind of relationship where you feel like you're really being listened to, it makes all the difference.
100%. It changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
It becomes a collaboration,
Right.
You're both working towards the same goal.
So, okay, we've established that, maybe buying online isn't the best idea, and pharmacists are amazing resources.
Yes.
But what about the actual monitor itself? What should people be looking for?
Well, first of all, it's important to know that not all blood pressure monitors are created equal.
Okay.
There are different types.
Right.
Some are automatic, some are manual.
Okay.
Some come with extra bells and whistles, like irregular heartbeat detection or memory storage for multiple users.
So how do you know which one is right for you?
Again, that's where your friendly neighborhood pharmacist comes in.
Okay.
They can really help you kind of assess your needs.
Yeah.
Guide you towards a device that fits your lifestyle, your budget.
It's like finding the right pair of shoes, You don't just grab the first pair you see.
Exactly.
You got to think about, your arch support. What are you going to be doing in them?
Right. And just like a good pair of shoes, a good blood pressure monitor is an investment.
Totally.
It's an investment in your health, your well-being.
So long story short, invest in a good blood pressure monitor from a reputable source.
Absolutely.
But there's another layer to this whole thing. There was something else Dr. Eng said that really stuck with me.
Okay.
He mentioned this kind of mix of disappointment and frustration.
Right. And I think it speaks to a bigger issue here,
What's that?
It's easy to get caught up in the practical side of all of this.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's about making sure everyone has access to the right information, to accurate tools.
Not just the people who can, shell out a ton of money.
Exactly. It shouldn't be a luxury to have the right information about your own health.
Think about the impact this could have on someone who is already, struggling to afford their medication.
Right.
And then they see this cheap monitor online.
Right. And they think, oh, I'm good. Problem solved.
And they might even skip doctor's visits because they think their blood pressure's fine.
Exactly. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. It's almost like this, betrayal.
Right.
When these cheap monitors are marketed as being reliable.
It's all about awareness.
Right.
Consumer education.
Yeah.
People need to be savvy, question what they see online, especially when it comes to their health.
So what's the takeaway here for our listeners? What can they do to make sure they're getting accurate readings, making good decisions?
First things first, if you're using a home blood pressure monitor, get it checked.
Okay.
Your pharmacy can usually do that for you, or your doctor.
Makes sense, like getting your car serviced.
Exactly.
You might not think anything's wrong, but, a little maintenance goes a long way.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to actually talk to your doctor, talk to your pharmacist.
Right.
Ask about the different monitors.
Right.
Ask about the techniques for getting an accurate reading.
Right.
Don't be shy. Knowledge is power.
Right. You deserve to have the right information.
100%.
So this deep dive has really been about, those hidden risks.
Right.
The ones that seem harmless but could actually be pretty serious.
Absolutely.
And, really highlighting how important reliable information is.
It's everything.
When it comes to managing your health.
Couldn't agree more.
For everyone listening, remember, your health is an investment, not an expense.
Well said.
Take care of it, stay informed.
Yes.
Until next time, stay curious.
See you next time.